All right, guys, we're just about to go live. Okay, we are live now. First speaker, team proposition. Please start.
Yeah, sure. Just
I'll indicate you with this when 3 minutes of speaking time is over, and with this when 4 minutes are over. So keep a
can
lookout.
you tap? Can you give a tap?
All right, I'll tap on the table.
Thank you so much. Should I start? Should I start?
Yes, please start.
The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet,
लास्ट है यार.
Chris, mute yourself.
can I start again?
Yes, please.
The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. Very rightly said by Steve Jobs. A very hearty good morning to one and all present here. Today, I, Pihu Arora, the first speaker of the proposition team, strongly believe that the motion before the House today should stand tall. I would like to start by defining the keywords. The first keyword is mandatorily, which means authoritatively ordered, obligatory, or compulsory. Assign is to allocate a job or duty. Interest is the feeling of wanting to know or learn about something or someone. Aptitude is a natural ability to do something. Doing what you love is freedom. Loving what you do is happiness. So the motion that says that students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their aptitude and interests. It's already happening in schools. If we take an example of class 7, 11, when they have to choose a stream, it is based on a percentage. One person should be given a choice to choose their own subject and not be forced into something they do not want to do. If you like one subject and want to pursue it as a career, but you are assigned some other subject, will you be happy? We have seen what has happened to Congress, one of the most strongest parties after the independence, has now become weaker than it ever was because of their because now only a handful of the people are left in the party uh, because they wanted to make their children only the children or that only that bloodline the president. We all have seen the Three Idiots movie. All of the students were forced into engineering. The students were forced into engineering even when they had another passions and interest. Thus, they could not give their 100%. If children are forced into a career, they have more chances of failing as they have no interest in it. And in the end, the cause of the failure would always be blamed on the child. Amitabh Bachchan is a legendary actor, but his son was a son who was forced into acting and thus could not give his 100% to the cinema industry. All the entrance exams like CAT, IIT-JEE, IAS, etc., they're to determine whether the child has enough aptitude to continue in that stream. Even if a child is forced into a career, there is a lot of possibility that he or she will not pass the entrance exam. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. Today's today's students are what will make the future tomorrow. I would like to end my speech by saying I hope this has turned the tables in our favor, and my fellow teammates will explain to you more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. First speaker, team opposition. You have a minute to prepare. First speaker, opposition team, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, please go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, respected adjudicator and fellow opponents. The motion before us is that the students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their interest and aptitude. And I, Sarthak Jain, is totally against this motion. First, let's start as the first speaker of the proper team has also explained, but I will also. Mandatory means something that's important, compulsory, cannot be changed. Assigned means something that's given to students and cannot be retracted. Interest means something that is a feeling that a student wants to do something he's curious about. It's, I repeat, it's an emotion of a student about a curiosity or something that he wants to pursue. Aptitude is basically ability. Now, the reason why I personally oppose this motion is because first, the motion says that children should be assigned subjects based on interest and aptitude. Interest is an emotion. It is not permanent. It changes every time. And it is about curiosity. So maybe sometimes I feel curious about maybe designing. So I sometimes I have in I am that time I'm interested in designing. So I will draw sometime, but I might get eventually bored with it. So I might leave it and go into maybe engineering or maybe business. It's an emotion. It will keep changing. Second, aptitude. Aptitude is basically ability. And the main reason why you get the aptitude is because of hereditary skills. The main reason why aptitude is measured in aptitude test is because of hereditary skills. So therefore, and also there's no accurate test, the 100% accurate test to measure your aptitude. So basically, the motion is trying to say that students should be permanently assigned subjects on basic emotions that can change and assumptions of their aptitude. Second, the motion does not state a time that when the when should be signed, and the proposition team's first speaker also did not tell us a timeline on which they think. So it is presumably it is assumed that you're talking about day one. The day one students become that a child becomes student, he will be assigned a subject or based on the interest and aptitude, because neither the motion say a timeline or neither the proposition team say a timeline. So this is why we think that they should not be mandatorily assigned the subjects based on the interest and aptitude. Because the reason why we go through school is to get exposure in every field, in science, SST, biochemistry, everything, so that we can choose based on that. And based on that, what we like, not because what we're curious about, but what we can do, what I can do, like maybe I can do biology, but I can't do physics. It's something that I need school for to experience every field. But if on day one I am being told that no, you will get this subject, you can't get anything else. This will totally disrupt the main system of schools and education boards, because I won't get the exposure in every field. That will ruin the school system and therefore will make school education worthless, because I would get something I might not want or might not need or may only be curious about for a limited time. Now, I would like the adjudicator and the opponents to read the motion today. Students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their interest and aptitude. If you recall, there was a system back earlier in India, the caste system, which children were mandatorily assigned subjects based on their parents' job, based on their aptitude, because aptitude does include of hereditary skills. I repeat, aptitude consists of hereditary skills. If the opposition does not know that, if the proposition team does not know that, it is their fault. The caste system just mandatorily assigned. They did not give the students a choice. They assigned them subjects and did not offer retraction of them. This created a caste system, a failing economy, failing people resource, or the human resource, in which people did what they didn't even want to do. They were forced to do this. This is why I think the motion should fall, that students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on the aptitude and interest. Because the whole reason why we have schools is that we can get exposure. Mandatorily assigning them subjects on day one will ruin the school system and the education board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, you have 1 minute.
So can I start?
Yeah, start.
Billy Joel once said, if you are not doing what you love, then you are wasting your time. And I guess this applies to my opponents. We all know what happens when someone does something that they don't want to. Hating Monday mornings and living on paychecks is not the way to live life. Instead of flashing out at your current situation, you should see what you need to change in your life. Not only will you feel inspired by engaging in meaningful work that you're passionate about, you'll inspire others too. When you're excited about what you're doing, your co-workers will benefit from your positive energy. People who see you doing something you love will for work will feel inspired to do the same. Study something you care about. Do your best work and don't waste your time. Don't waste your breath on people who try to bring you down. Typically, humanities majors face the brunt of criticism from parents, friends, and even some professors. While their intentions may be kind or maybe not, what you choose to study is yours. Make sure that you care about it and don't get too wrapped up in any hot air others might feel the need to share with you. A polite thanks, but I love it usually does the trick, because this is your life, not your father's, teachers, or any other professors or anyone. No one can tell you what you do want to do with it or what you should do with it. Of course, we realize that there are plenty of stories of passion gone ovary. Things go ovary for different reasons: loss of focus, settling for mediocre. And if you stick with something you love and you want to learn more about it, do your best, strive for excellence, and have integrity. Studying what you love just may translate into a job that you love too, because in reality you want to love what you are doing more than what amount of money you get. Having a job that you love is more fulfilling and productive. It can even lead to a higher level of success. In order to determine what job you will love, ask yourself a few questions about your dreams, goals, and strengths, and there you go. What you work will not feel like work. Instead, the main purpose for most people is to get a job, and too many people make the mistake of thinking that the goal is to get any job. Well, that is wrong. Then you know the story. They dread waking up during the week, live for the weekend, and spend the majority of their waking hours the rest of their life doing something that's not for them. How awful is that? I urge you not to settle for any job, even a job that is sort of what you want to do. No, you only get one shot at life, and that means you must follow your passion. Lots of people believe in learning what you love and then doing it and following it for a career. I'd like to quote two or three people. George Burns said, I'd rather be a failure at something I love than a success at something I hate. Jim Carrey said, I learned many lessons from my father, but not least of which is that you can fail at something if you don't want to. So you might as well as take a chance and doing what you love. Now, heading to the rebuttal, respected opposition first speaker, do you think Albert Einstein changed his interest 10 years in the way of making the relative theory of motion, which took 11 years to be completed? Do you think he changed his interest at that time? No, he did not, and that is why this theory was able to be made. The opposition's first speaker did not give any fact or proof. Your opinion does not matter in a debate. Facts, proofs matter in a debate. And also, you said that we go to
Krish,
school.
your 4 minutes are up.
Well, we go to school to study. That is its literal meaning, definition.
Krish, your
Not to
4 minutes are up.
Ma'am, I can complete. Can I complete?
Yes, sure, you can complete. Anything said beyond the time limit of 4 minutes will not be considered, but please complete.
Okay. To get exposure, even in later you choose what you want to do in a school. Repeating the motion 3 or 4 times does not make the motion wrong. Hence, the arguments presented by the opposition first speaker were wrong and baseless and thus null and void. Hence, this motion must stand and stand tall.
Thank you. Second speaker, team opposition, you have a minute. Next speaker, please start.
Can I start?
Yes, please start.
Good morning, respected adjudicator and my fellow opponents. I'm the second speaker from my team, and we are against the motion that students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their interests and aptitudes. It is necessary that students study all subjects and not get to choose what they want to, especially during their younger years, rather than only those that interest them. Multiple subjects help children learn about their possibilities. It enables them to make correct decisions regarding their careers as they have a better understanding of their interests. Does this sound like a wasteful time to you? Because that's what the opposition is saying, that this is a waste of time. No, this is how children learn what they like to do. This is how they discover their possibilities. You might yell through a camera, but what you say doesn't change. School is where we discover our interests and our aptitudes. How? By studying all subjects. By watching such a rule, the proposition by vouching for such a rule, the proposition is narrowing a child's ability to explore different subjects. Peer pressure also comes into existence. Peer pressure is when your friends, parents, or anybody else pressurizes you to take certain subjects. When this must happen, for example, students, this happens especially during this time. You are saying that students must be given subjects and choose subjects based on what interests them and their aptitudes. Well, many people choose what their friends choose. It's called peer pressure, and it's very high during this time. So students often pressurize their other friends to choose what they want to. And you can't ignore this by smirking or smiling through the camera, but it happens. Okay? You can say as much as you want to, but this is the truth. Parents also pressurize their children into taking subjects they don't want to. Someone wants to become an artist, but because their family is poor, they tell them to become a doctor instead so they can earn money. They are denying the children interests. Isn't it better that they study all subjects so that they can discover their interest for themselves and not just study one thing all their lives so that they never get to explore other possibilities? Studying in school, this is what school is all about. School shapes you and what you will become in your later lives. This is why we study all subjects. This is why the system has been there since forever and no one's changed it, because it's important that students study all subjects. Then interests often change from time to time, especially when we're young. Okay, I can be interested in dancing, but later I get interested in science. Then I become interested in maths. Then I become interested in geography. Things change, especially during this time, and this is why taking subjects based on your aptitude and your interest is completely inaccurate. Now, for rebuttals, the first speaker. You actually agreed with us in the starting by telling us you actually agreed with us and made yourself put yourself in the wrong. You gave us the definitions, and then you spoke in your speech entirely about choosing when the you spoke entirely about choosing your subjects, when in the motion it clearly states mandatorily assigned, which means that forcefully assigned. Teachers assign these to these two children, and you went on and on talking about how we should choose to do what we love. But the teachers are the ones assigning to you. You don't get to choose. By studying all subjects, you can actually choose which subject you want to pay more attention in. And this helps you create a better future because you know all of your possibilities. So before you go on and write your entire speech, please read the motion twice. The second speaker, you again spoke about interest. As we said, interest constantly changes. Okay, I can be interested in one subject, then I get interested in another. What do you expect me to do? Change subject 30 times? We are talking, and then you went on talking about how adults hate Monday mornings. Excuse me, we're talking about students. Can I finish? The motion specifically states students, not adults, and you go on talking about how adults feel that their life is a waste. We're talking about students, about school, about this time, not about adults. Okay. And then again you spoke about Albert Einstein, that if after 10 years of work on the theory of relativity he changed his interest. Again, adults, not students. Unless you think Albert Einstein was a child, then this is completely baseless. And then and at the end you threw a personal jab at us by saying that you can't say anything by your opinion. No, these are facts, okay? And if you want to say that writing a debate through your opinion is baseless, then your debate was nothing but air and words. And this is why the motion will fall, because the proposition is in the wrong.
Thank you. Once again, guys, let me just address this. When I show you the 4-minute sign, it means that your speaking time is over. You may continue, but anything said beyond that will not be considered by the adjudicators. So it doesn't really matter, you're wasting your energy. Yeah, goes to both teams. You have 1 minute to prepare.
I'd like to start now.
All right, cool, go ahead.
Yeah. So David Gerald once said, "Study what you love, and you'll never have to work a day in your life. It will be one great adventure." Greetings to one and all present here. Today, I, Kaira Nanda, the third speaker of the proposition team, believe that the motion that students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their interests and aptitude should stand, and I'll make sure that every single person who leaves this meeting will agree to the fact that I point out. So first of all, before giving out my points, I'd like to come to the rebuttals. The first speaker was talking about how our interests keep changing from time to time. So there's a thing called permanent interest, and then there are temporary interests. So in my life, my permanent interest in what I want to do is being an astrophysicist. But I have temporary interests such as dancing or art. But these are temporary interests. I don't base my life off of those interests. Those things are called hobbies, sir. There's a difference between complete permanent interests and hobbies. Also, you were talking about how aptitude is hereditary, and you tried to make us agree to you, sir. Intelligence might be hereditary, but there's a difference. Aptitude is your ability to do something. Let's say my mother was not good at writing poetry, but I am. How is that hereditary? It's not. Aptitude is not hereditary, sir. Intelligence might depend upon your genes, but aptitude is not hereditary. Also, if you're saying that our interest keeps changing, so we should study everything, we should study all the subjects. We have eventually we have to choose a stream in 11th grade. We have to choose a college major when we graduate school. So we're just preparing the students at a younger level, maybe not at 3rd, 4th grade, or maybe not when they start out, but maybe at 6th grade, 7th grade, when they've developed a foundation, because you're baselessly assuming that we are talking about when we just started out, whereas we never pointed that out. And even with the second speaker, they kept assuming about the fact that we're talking about the early years of school, but we never stated that. So you're just opposing a point that was never laid out. So if we have to choose a stream in 11th grade, or even when we're opting for a college major, then why not prepare the students for that? Because right now, even in 9th grade, right now I'm in 8th grade and I'm going to 9th grade, we are given an option to choose subjects between IT, IFM and AI, and language as in Hindi or whichever foreign language we've been studying right now. So we have to choose it right now as well. And that's the system that's going on. So you're opposing the complete system. You're saying that we should not choose we should not study what we like, just because of the fact that that it's not how it works. We need to discover our passion, etc. But we can discover our passion in the few years that we've been studying, because nowhere in the motion is it stated that we should be assigned the subjects at a younger level. And you're just baselessly assuming that. You're talking about peer pressure. You're telling me that peer pressure because of peer pressure we'll opt for subjects that we do not prefer. So that will happen during the college years. That will happen when we're opting for a stream in 11th grade as well. What can you do about that? That is something that you cannot change. Also, you're talking about how mandatorily assigned means that it is assigned by the teachers and we have no say. Ma'am, it clearly says mandatorily assigned upon the interest and aptitude. So please go through the motion first. Also, now I'd like to come to my points. So first of all, not everyone has the same skill set. My friend might be interested in Hindi or social studies. I might be interested in physics. And just because of the fact that we both are interested in two different things does not mean that we have to study what each other are studying, because all of us are different. All of us are human beings. beings and we have different interests, and we should have the ability to pursue those interests. So for example, like, even as my second speaker pointed out, Albert Einstein was working on the theory of relativity for 11 years. If someone first forced upon him to work on the theory of relativity along with the theory of relativity to study social studies for 4 hours every day, would he have been able to do that? And the second speaker clearly pointed out that we're talking about adults, not students. Ma'am, let me tell you, adults also used to be students at one point of time. So if we're students, then our student life will shape our adulthood. So if we are given the ability to choose our stream, choose our subjects when we're students, then only we'll be able to impact our adult lives, then only we'll be able to impact our future, then only we'll have a good future. You can't just expect to have an amazing bright future if you've not focused on what you were doing, focused on what you like when you were younger. If I like a certain thing and I focus on it right now, and I'm not able to focus on any other subjects, and I fail in those subjects, that will cause mental stress, that will cause anxiety, that will cause paranoia to tell my parents that I failed, and inevitably I'll get mental health disorders. Also, happiness is associated with getting being good at school, being good in general. So if we're not good at what we do, and if we're failing at what we do just because we're paying attention to something that we like, that is basically showing that we are causing harm to our own health. And here I'd like to rest my case by saying that the beliefs of the opposition are completely wrong, because everyone is different and not everyone has the same skill set. And I'd like to rest my case here. Thank you.
Thank you. Last speaker, you have 1 minute to prepare. Last speaker, time's up.
Okay, sir. Should I start?
Yes.
Good morning, respected adjudicator and my fellow opponents. Today, my team and I stand strongly against the motion that students should be mandatorily assigned subjects based on their interests and aptitudes. Well, aptitude refers to an individual's potential for acquiring some specific skills. Aptitude tests are used to predict what an individual will be able to do if given proper environment and training based on hereditary skills. I repeat, hereditary skills, dear opponents. An interest is an individual's preference for engaging in one or more specific activities relative to others. So this is now set to stone that both cannot be used together to assign someone a specific subject, because both of them are totally opposite things. And mandatory, my dear opponents, means compulsory. Free choice is now out of question according to my opponents. My dear opponents, why do we go to school in the first place? Well, to learn different things. It is important to remember that the traditional academic subjects that are preferred to today, such as chemistry, music, and geography, are simply artificial boxes which are used together in order to make sure that children learn everything that is important in their life, not just one subject that they think they might want in the future. Some subjects as well have developed to so much more. They've been divided up into new areas of knowledge. History, for example, has been broken down into fields such as archaeology. How would I know something if I like something unless I've tried it? Studying different subjects brings a different perspective to many different issues, my dear opponents, not just one. If a certain subject is presented as mandatory subjects, the main idea of schooling is not taken into account. And my dear opponents, Gordon Ramsay is the perfect example of how interests change. He was an athlete, and now he is a well known chef. By mandatorily giving them a specific subject does not give them the liberty to explore new interests. Aptitude. I would like to kick again the point of my own teammates, because you guys are totally in denial of this point. The fact is that aptitude is something based on hierarchy, meaning that if you're the son of a chartered accountant, your aptitude is to be one like him. Well, where is the freedom now, my dear opponents? If Mr. Narendra Modi, our honorable Prime Minister, was judged on his aptitude, he would still be selling tea to people on platforms. My dear opponents, you are basically talking about coming back to the caste system, giving people no choice but a mandatory subject based on hierarchy or politically correct term is aptitude. My dear opponents, please come out of utopia and look at the system you're talking about the way it is. I am horrible at science if I tell you, but that is my interest. My interest and aptitude vary largely. What would you assign me then, huh? You are saying that you should love what you do. But how will you know what you truly love until you learn other things as well? Please do not confuse yourself. Mandatory giving means you are not given any choice, my dear opponent. And Three Idiots that you're saying is actually a flop example, because we're talking about real life and not mere fictions. You, my dear opponents, are saying that we would not be forced into a career. But that is exactly your side of the motion does not mean. The word mandatory just leaves your speech as nothing but words in air. The motion does not mention a timeline, my dear opponents. It just states that it should be there. Well, which does not allow the children the certain kind of freedom and happiness they should have and they deserve. Well, I loved your pep talk. Love what you do, follow your passion. Lovely copy pasting from Google. But please read the motion. Mandatory, interest, and aptitudes are three words which cannot be used together. You're again and again saying that we should love what we do, what we love, but what we love can only be discovered by doing more things than just what you think you love. And we're not getting the choice. It is mandatory and interest change, my dear opponents. Please understand these two things. You say that opinions don't matter, whereas throughout your speech, you gave your own opinions about us. Please correct your statements as you're rebutting yourself and your team when you say this. And you're talking about permanent and temporary interests. My dear opponent, it is not mentioned in the motion. Dear opponents, please do not create your own timeline. It is not mentioned. Dear third speaker of the proposition, screaming on the screen makes it even more annoying to listen to you and does not prove you right. And looking at the confused state and the firmness of my teammates, the motion shall fall. Thank you.
Thank you. The adjudicators are going to collect the scores now, and I think both of the teams did pretty well, and it was a very close competition. See you guys at the closing ceremony.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
And
you,
thank
sir.
you. You guys were great
Thank you,
debating with other
educators.
team.
Yeah, thank you. You guys were great.
Wait, guys, just a
Thank you for
second.
having us.
Thank you so much. Just a sec. Could you please call? Okay, everybody's here. Did someone leave the meeting?
One member from each of the teams is left, I believe.
Okay, could you please call your teammates back?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sir, when is the closing ceremony?
At 3:30 in 20 minutes. Yeah, in 20 to 35 minutes. Okay, while the rest of your teammates join us, we're here for the community discussion, which happens after the debate. Uh, Anybody wants to share their opinion about anything that could have been added to the debate to make something more out of it? Without furthering the debate, could you think of something that, like anything that you wish to talk about without going into the debate again? Anybody who has to say
Does
something?
the opposition actually believe that this motion must fall?
Okay, Krish, could you please elaborate and also switch your cam on?
I just want to ask if the opposition actually believes that this motion should fall.
Oh, we're not continuing the debate over here. That's not what we're trying to do. So the agenda is to talk about things that could have been added to the debate, like conceptually, ideologically, whatever. Some something that you could have added or something that the other team could have added. Things that could have made the whole debate all around together a better experience. Don't point out your teammates' faults. Just something that could have been added to the debate. Unmute yourselves and start speaking.
Can I add something?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So I think that one
So
point, which, like you said, that could have made the debate better. It was about, question, why are we even discussing this? Why this topic? Am I audible?
yeah, now you are.
Okay, so what I was saying is that maybe, whenever, like this goes in general, for whatever topic you get, try to start with the question that why do we even have this topic? Why are we even talking about this? And where does this eventually lead us? Before you think about whether you are in favor, whether you are against, like what you have decided, just try to go beyond that and see what this particular topic, what purpose it serves, and then try to connect it with, okay, what stand do you have to take, and how does that stand contribute to that ultimate purpose. I know you all are still in school and it's pretty young, but because you all are already doing a great job at debating, which is why I wanted to add this fact that maybe if you all try to think a bit beyond just the specific words of the motion, it would definitely, help the debate be better.
That was very enriching, actually. Anybody else who has to share something? Yes, Kyra, were you saying something?
I was just saying thank you for her opinion.
All right. Uh,
Still, though, I just wanted to say that our opponents were very good. It was like a very good debate.
yes, I agree. It was a pretty good debate. Tough one
I
to judge.
actually I like my opponent's speeches, and it was a tough debate. But just one thing that you guys could have used, um, you guys could have used examples from real life instead of just taking examples from movies like Three Idiots. You could have used some other examples as well.
Yeah, and on that note, like one thing that because I have heard all six of you in other rounds, and I'm hearing you all again in finals. One thing that I think is, whenever you participate in a debate, it doesn't matter who else does what. You personally and individually try to steer clear of any sort of personal jabs, like anything, even like any comment. Try to maneuver yourself strictly to the topic, and this goes for all six of you. Like keep it only about the topic and not about any other participant. That is just one thing I would try to say to make the debate healthier, basically, because you all have great points. You all really don't need to cover it up with any personal attacks. So trust your points and stick to that.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you at the closing ceremony. Goodbye. Switching off the